A different world.
Everybody out on the fence.
With its own rules. Often justice in their own hands.
In there, in the pool, we drown the sex offenders.
Zero tolerance.
Back to your cells.
Gangs. Violence. Drugs.
You can get all drugs inside.
And harassment.
I did it to make it tough.
And inhumane conditions. All this behind bars. In the toughest prisons in the world. Impenetrable walls, gangs, violence. One woman in the midst of hardened criminals.
They can take you over in just a moment's notice.
I mean, if there's any females on the floor, I mean, they'll start masturbating, you know, right there, you know, out the window.
A special unit at the ready to quash riots and control gang wars.
This ain't no play for anybody.
A lot of blood gets shed in here.
I don't wish this shit on my worst enemy.
Robbers, rapists, murderers. A melting pot of violence.
Told you last time, man, them hoes known for killing niggas in this bitch, man.
Seconds in court determine a possible fate of years behind bars.
Is the state going to offer 17?
No, Your Honor.
Is the state offering 17 today?
No.
Dallas County Jail, one of the largest and toughest jails in the world. Dallas, Texas, population 1.3 million, glittering high-rises. The shiny facade is deceptive. Once an oil stronghold, today a criminal stronghold. The crime rate is 40% higher than the national average. Poverty, violence, drug wars run amok in too many neighborhoods. The ghetto factor reigns. Just outside downtown, bond agencies. Important for each defendant who wants to avoid ending up here. Dallas County Jail. One of the largest detention centers in the U.S. and one of the most notorious. Over 7,000 prisoners await their verdict, death penalty included. No other state enforces the death penalty more often than Texas. Rush hour is what the guards have dubbed Saturday nights. Almost by the minute, new inmates are washed up onto the ground floor of the Dallas County complex. Too much alcohol, drugs, and violence. City police officers are bringing in the first case of the night. This woman attacked her boyfriend with a knife while high on drugs.
Stand up.
Oh, my arm. Close door. Close door. I got it. Oh,
All right.
I ain't do that, boy.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Because the suspect spit on the arresting officer, she's forced to wear a mask. Prison guards suspect she has taken PCP, or angel dust, an inexpensive, extremely dangerous street drug. It makes you aggressive and unpredictable.
God knows, bitch. God knows, bitch. God knows, bitch.
Everyone goes through the same process, regardless of their condition, when being booked into Dallas County Jail.
Calm down, honey, calm down. Calm down. Calm down.
Fingerprinting is part of the process, no matter how.
Hold on. We're almost finished, okay?
The main thing is to get it done fast. The so-called intake gets filled. Up to 300 new prisoners arrive daily. Mass processing. The next transport comes directly from a police station. waiting in line to get in to notorious Dallas County Jail. Often the first prison guard a new inmate encounters is a woman. It will not be the last. In this jail, there are more female guards than male guards. They have to be tough. Because the Dallas County Jail is a powder keg. This surveillance video shows escalation within seconds. Members from different gangs meet up in the intake. A lot of them are intoxicated or high on drugs, or both. The result? Altercations. The prisoners from the transport have to line up. Many are repeat offenders. Newbie Sergio knows what's in store for him.
Every cell is the wrong cell.
Nasty as hell.
You get infections here, you get sick. Last time my face was all just peeled. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know.
You've been in hospital the last 90 days?
A short questionnaire decides mental housing or normal cell.
You want to hurt or kill yourself?
No.
Ever attempt suicide in the past?
Nope.
Do you feel hopeless because you're here today?
Nope.
The 31-year-old fugitive has been on the run for 6 months, wanted for drug offenses. Now it's game over. The officers search each newcomer for good reason.
Anything, drugs, knives, whatever that they could use to harm themselves or harm someone else. Pipes, whether they're used for drugs, stashed under their stomach or in their clothing, or in their private areas. The other one. Turn around. Open your mouth.
Every step, every move is part of a strictly defined routine. The officers don't make exceptions. Meanwhile, the woman with the spit mask has been processed into the system. Only now it's time for the medical examination. Because she is intoxicated and on drugs, the woman will be sent to the jail clinic for treatment first. Drugs are a huge problem in Dallas. One of the main reasons for the continuous supply of new inmates. Drugs are the reason Sergio has landed in jail again and again. He's lived underground for a while, using a false name, always scared to be caught.
Being on the run sucks, you know. It's not the life you want. It fucking sucks. You gotta stay on the low, you have to run from cops, you know, you have to be a different person, you know, and it's not cool. But it's better being in here and getting it over with.
The new inmates sit on metal benches, waiting for cell allocation. Sometimes up to 15 hours. The reason? The sheer size of Dallas County Jail. Within prison walls, up to 7,100 inmates are awaiting court. Room has to be found for the new arrivals. The prison complex consists of 3 giant concrete towers. Right next to it, a huge courthouse. The North Tower houses 3,300 maximum security prisoners. The West Tower houses 1,500 inmates. It is a mental housing facility. In the South Tower, a general population jail, 2,300 inmates to date. Dallas County Jail, the 7th largest jailhouse in the U.S. Detention ward for robbers, killers, drug dealers. For Sergio, too. After waiting 11 hours, it's time for the next step in the process. His uniform for the next months, possibly years. Stripes. Wearing his new uniform, he is led to the West Tower, the mental housing ward. It seems one of Sergio's answers outed him.
Come back here, grab a mat.
The thin mat will probably be the only thing that makes Sergio's life a little more comfortable in the next few weeks. The inmates in the West Tower live behind security glass, like in a fishbowl, constantly watched, 24 hours a day. No privacy. Sergio has to share with 5 other inmates. Is that supposed to be a friendly greeting or a threat? Sergio isn't sure. Cautiously, he puts the sheets on his metal-framed bed. He feels unfairly treated.
And then once you come up here, they put you in wherever you're classified as. See, like me, I know I'm not crazy, but I'm a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I'm a little crazy, I mean, I'm in here with a lot of crazy people. We're all crazy in our own way. Like just different breeds of animals, you know what I'm saying? But trying to put us all in one little spot. Why would they put crazy people with crazy people? You know what I'm saying? Because they're looking for us to do stupid shit.
Which is what an inmate should avoid, doing stupid shit. More on that later. 4 a.m., North Tower. 3,300 maximum security prisoners. Here, the toughest of the tough. Tamarick is one of them, accused of capital murder. Today is the day that decides his future, sentencing. From 15 years to life, anything is possible. Tamarick just turned 19, and in Texas, a life sentence can actually mean until the end of your life. Now, only praying can help.
Facing life in prison, so hopefully I go in there, they tell me some good news. I've been hearing bad news the past couple of weeks, so I hope I hear some good news. Going to court, facing the time I'm facing, I've been having a lot on my mind, so I don't know. I hope to go home, that's it. Leave it in God's hands.
Practically still a kid himself, Tamarick has been a member of the infamous Bloods gang for years. His 5 cellmates belong to the same gang and have similar views.
Everybody in here facing some time. You know, I got a capital murder. You know, might not never go home. You feel me? But I ain't tripping, you feel me? Everybody else, you know, super killer, robber, jack boys, you know, we got all that in here. This an aggravated tank. You got murderers, capital murderers, robbers, aggravated assaults, people who like to shoot people but don't kill them. You know, manslaughters, people who stab people up. You know, you got a little bit of everything in here.
Everyone in this cell is still waiting for court. For Tamarick, today is the day. The day where his future is decided. The day where he finds out how long he will be behind bars. Dallas County Jail. Violence. Gangs. And right in the middle of it all, women.
All these men have violent charges, all of them.
Exposed between rage and resignation.
A lot of people back here are losing their mind.
A jail with its own courthouse, where a decision is made within 3 minutes, putting you behind bars for 3 years or for 30. North Tower. Shift start for the Special Response Team, SRT for short. The men are preparing for a cell raid. The so-called shakedown is part of the routine here. It's like going into battle, and the SRT is prepared for anything and everything.
Right here you have your mace, got your radio, your handcuffs. And here I keep 2 spit masks, another handcuff, more mace. Ready for battle. Ready for battle.
They know that the enemy is prepared as well.
Worst thing would be bodily fluids. Aggravated inmate decided he wanted to take a cup of urine and douse officers with. So, you know, you get bodily fluids in your face, your eye, your mouth. It's not a good thing.
When push comes to shove, the officers do what they have to do.
It's our pepper ball gun inside. You have pepper balls. I don't have my gloves on, but we use us in there. It's a pepper ball to get inside your lungs to de-escalate the inmate.
Getting shot by pepper balls leaves bruises and is extremely painful. North Tower, 2nd floor west. The area is known as the jungle amongst the guards. The most violent inmates are located in this area. A few days ago, the SRT found weapons in this cell block, reason enough for a surprise visit.
We're gonna go in and try to recover the rest of the weapons that they have in the tank. We're gonna enter the tank safely, take all the proper precautions, and come out safe.
A surprise raid is part of the strategy, demanding immediate respect.
Go ahead and stand up, hands behind your back. Exit the cell. We'll go out to the right. Everybody understand? Hand behind your back.
All prisoners must leave the area. Some SRT members start frisking each inmate. There is no hiding place these guys don't know about. The other half of the team goes through the cells.
You see this fire grate right here? They like to take it down, break a piece of that off, straighten it out, put some of their blankets around it, make a handle and just sharpen the end so they can just come up and stab you.
Officer Tucker searches every corner and crevice. When you're a prisoner, you have a lot of time to look for the perfect hiding place.
That's just hair grease. Normally they'll put coffee in here and they'll put a razor blade underneath the coffee. So when you look at it, unless you shake it up, you won't know it's there. Well, they get razors once a week, but they're supposed to turn them back in. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take something like this. They'll take a chip bag, the shiny part, and they'll put that inside the razor, and it looks like a razor's in there, but it's actually a chip bag.
We just found the tattoo needle and extra pills. It's a medical condition as well. You know, they can get staph, you know, infect their skin, so we don't allow any tattooing in here. So, you know, they do it on a regular basis, but when we see it, we crack down on it.
When the SRT leaves the cells, it is utter chaos. The yield was meager today. The inmates are allowed back into their cells to put their few possessions back in order. South Tower, 2,300 general population prisoners. At 2 p.m., Officer Nichols' shift begins. She's one of 500 female guards at Dallas County Jail. 60% of security guards are women. But there's no special treatment for female employees. Officer Nichols has been a detention officer for 25 years. Work here is not for the faint of heart. Officer Nichols operates the Pod, a huge collective cell with 64 male inmates.
Okay, so, gentlemen.
After the shift change, Officer Nichols is the only guard on duty.
Gentlemen, stop talking on your bunks. Y'all know the rules. The same today as they are every day. No chairs in the showers, no do-rags, no towels, blankets, all that good stuff. Y'all can unrack. Please keep the noise level down. I run an aggravated tank, meaning aggravated armed robberies, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. This is a maximum security pod.
Nothing separates this female guard from the inmates. No barrier, no window, nothing. Officer Nichols' first order of business at start of shift, head count. Prisoners must remain in their bunks until the count is over. Officer Nichols can't show a moment of weakness.
Talk to your partner, tell him to straighten up. Tell him we need you to straighten up. We need you to straighten up, because if you don't, I'm gonna have to hurt you later. Tomorrow, we'll hurt you.
Prison guard is all too aware of her surroundings and the imminent danger.
You should be a bit not afraid, but always on guard. If you're a woman and you're not intimidated by being locked in here with 64 men, you know, they can take you over in just a moment's notice. Because there's a lot of places in here you can't see me. If I go up there behind that pole, they can get me back there. They could, you know, get me down and beat me up, whatever they wanted to do.
Violence is not uncommon and determines jail life. In Dallas County Jail, robbers, rapists, killers are locked up with nothing to lose. And many of these inmates are members of opposing street gangs. From one second to the next, the mood can change, which is why the prisoners are separated according to their gang affiliation. The Bloods reign in this cell. Nobody comes in here that doesn't belong.
If the wrong guy gets out of line, we fucking beat their ass, you know. It might turn to a bloody war, you feel me? It might be 5 guys on 3 guys. It might be 8 on 4, you know. That's just how it go. It might be 8 on 8, you know. So all the old civilians, they gotta go next door, you feel me? You know, if they want peace, ain't no peace. We mean war, you feel me? I might remember you from a month ago when you shot at me, or I might remember him a month ago when he tried to jump me. Now we in jail now, you know. I might have 3 of my homeboys in here, it might just be you. I got the upper hand on you. We're gonna slaughter you.
Gang wars begin on the streets and continue inside the facility. It is part of the guards' daily routine to separate gang members and settle disputes. Disputes and conflicts that Tamarick recalls all too well from childhood. He was in a juvenile detention center for the first time when he was 10 years old. Today, 9 years later, he is ready for court. He's been charged with murder. He and his brother allegedly shot a customer in a drug deal dispute.
They say I pulled the trigger, you know. It's me and my brother on the case. They say I pulled the trigger. They say he set it up, but something just gotta happen, you know. It's all about who you is, you know. Growing up in the hood, you know what I'm saying? My first time ever going to jail, I was 10 years old, you know. I've been in and out since then, from juvenile to here, you know. But at the same time, I'd learned from my mistakes, you know.
Along with Tamarick, 200 inmates have their court date today, waiting together for a fate that will send many behind bars for decades. Routine in one of the toughest detention centers in the world. Back at the West Tower, the mental housing ward. Sergio has set up his makeshift home. Who knows for how long, because it can be months before his case comes up for trial.
We're grown-ass men in here, you know what I'm saying? And who gives a fuck about us? You know what I'm saying? We're worried about our people who are out there who don't have us to fend for them. But none of us is gonna stay in this bitch forever.
The only option, hang in there and try and stay out of trouble.
You just gotta find out how to go about your day without you getting into any conflicts or, you know, getting into people's ways or getting into people's funks. You know what I'm saying?
Advice that not everyone adheres to. Although the supposedly normal prisoners are housed in the pod, there are still regular outbreaks of violence.
There's some days it's bad because you'll come in, they'll be fighting when you come in, screaming and yelling and running, and you'll have 2 or 3 fights. Blood, all kinds of good stuff.
The timeout cell is for inmates who make trouble in the pod. Up to 23 hours solitary confinement on order of the warden. But even this deterrence is useless if a prisoner has been sentenced to years behind bars. This is the moment when most of the inmates go berserk.
When they get sentenced, that's usually the rough days, the days they're sentenced. Because they'll get, you know, say 10, 15 years. They know, oh gosh, now what? I don't see my mom, I don't see my wife, I don't see my children. If they get life or if they get the death penalty, they're transferred out immediately from the court. They're transferred immediately because then they don't have anything to lose. They can come back and, you know, harm me, harm one of the other officers, and harm all the inmates.
Pepper spray doesn't do much good in those cases. But it is the only thing Officer Nichols and her co-workers can use, apart from handcuffs and a radio, if one of the inmates decides to attack. The best line of defense is to keep calm, stay cool.
It is my job, so I have to do what I have to do. If the inmates fear that you are scared of them, they will take advantage of that.
The female officers are said to be especially tough and relentless, dealing with the inmates.
We gotta let them know we are more powerful than the man themselves. We can just work just as hard as them.
Many of the prisoners get medication, often to sedate them, or because they have mental problems. Getting their meds from the female nurse isn't the only reason they wait in anticipation.
I mean, if there's any females on the floor, I mean, they'll start masturbating, you know, right there, you know, out the window. You'll see a lot of them, looks like they're putting their hands in their pockets, but they have no pockets.
When it comes to masturbation, the staff is merciless.
We have men, they'll be in the shower and they'll pleasure themselves in the shower. We tell them, get out of the shower. Get out, pack your stuff. We put them right out. Got to pack your stuff and get out. And they understand, they know what's up. They know what they're doing. They know, hey, busted.
Mealtime in the pod. And a well-deserved break for Officer Nichols, because she has to be on top of her game and vigilant for every second of her shift.
It's all hand-to-hand combat when you're working with these guys, always. That's why I say we have to be physically fit. And we have some violent men. And like I said, this pod is a maximum security pod. All these men have violent charges, all of them.
However, the most dangerous violent criminals sit in the North Tower, in isolation cells. The SRT is there regularly. Due to lack of space, officers enter the narrow cells without their armored suits. Here, the mood is often just as aggressive as in the group housing facility.
Hey, go ahead and have a seat for me, guy.
Inmates are so dangerous that even the best trained special unit will only enter the area when they outnumber the prisoners.
Put your pants up. Irvin, put your pants up.
Pure chaos prevails in many of these isolation cells. Inmates let their aggressions run wild. In solitary confinement, inmates regularly go ballistic. It's up to the SRT to bring these prisoners to their senses.
Come, man, you better lay it the fuck down, man. Say, when them hoes come, man, best thing to do is lay on your stomach, cross your motherfucking legs. You can try to be Superman or be a G if you want to. Told you last time, man, them hoes known for killing niggas in this bitch, man.
They run around, they jump on people, they beat people up. My rotator cuff is torn completely. I used to play baseball. I can't play baseball no more.
A prisoner is rampaging in his cell.
What you go to the nurse for?
Why you need to go to the nurse?
Because I put something in that dick. Hey, tell that punk to come in. Come on. I just want to talk to him face to face.
Hey, listen.
What you doing?
Hey, listen, Sprinkle. Right now, I just need you to listen to what I'm saying, okay? Need you to bag up, away from the door. I need you to go to that corner right there.
Don't stick that in there. Let's go ahead and restrain him.
Hold the spot, hold the spot, hold the spot. Just relax, man. No, Tucker, this is bullshit. Stop resisting. See the fucking nurse. See what I'm saying? He always almost breaks my arm. This guy's good. I'm tired of this shit. Relax, relax. No, I need to go to the motherfucking nurse.
Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting.
The more you resist, the tighter the cuffs.
I don't give a damn about the cuffs. Sprinkle, let him restrain you, okay? I'm tired of this bullshit. I just want to get the fuck out this cell.
Bring the niggas to the jail.
The procedure is always the same when the SRT enters.
Well, we try to make entry as safely as we can. What we'll do, we'll line a team up, and then we'll make entry. We'll get a command for the inmate to lay down. If he don't lay down, then we have to go in, and we have to use the amount of force necessary to take him to the ground.
Whoever keeps resisting will get chaired. It is this special chair, strapped in, using force if necessary. His finger is not broken, but resisting causes pain. The prisoner now has time to calm down.
You can only keep me in the chair for 2 hours. It's all right.
It turns out he doesn't need to see the nurse because he did not insert anything into his penis. In solitary, around the clock. No daylight, no TV, no company. Only books and a newspaper. It's enough to drive anyone crazy.
Cuss your ass out and bring me the motherfucking phone. They broke my friend's arm the other week. I've been back here 145 days on a 90-day disciplinary.
Ain't no nothing. This about the toughest thing right here. You just stay in this room right here.
A lot of people back here are losing their mind. A lot of inmates back here, they cut themselves, they try to hurt themselves.
I ain't even got no clothes. I'm naked. I'm ass naked. Butterball ass naked. They do us bad in the bitch in here, man. I'm starving like a motherfucker.
This is what it looks like from the inside. 40 square feet with a steel toilet, cement shower, and a stone bed. Any inmate who attacks other prisoners or a guard ends up here for 90 days. Some prisoners are so violent they are in solitary indefinitely. The only change of pace, 3 times a week for 1 hour in the prison yard, if you can call it that. Isolation and monotony. That too belongs to the strategy of Dallas County Jail, one of the toughest detention centers in the world. The isolation cell block is the only area in the prison complex where no women work. Even the male guards never enter the cells without the specialized SRT. The only contact with the outside world, the feeder point. Many of the men in here are proud of their crimes.
Man. Murder. I'm here for murder. Yeah. So I was on the news. I made the news, so when someone makes the news, they bring them back here in administrative custody so that people mad at me can't touch me or hurt me or any kind of way like that, you know.
Jesse really was in the news. It was a sad headline. Pensioner killed by man for no reason in the middle of the street.
I got drunk, and then I blacked out, and I assaulted some woman. She died later on because she was in a coma, and that pushed the charge up to a murder. So I'm in here for murder.
Now, the 21-year-old has plenty of time to think.
My family, I disappointed them. A lot of people back here, the disappointments to certain people, and that's another thing. That's another hard thing to get over.
Coping with their deeds, their crimes. That is what drives so many of the inmates in solitary to the brink of insanity. The so-called trustees in these group detention areas get more to do than the isolation prisoners. Trustees are considered less prone to violence and may therefore carry out relief work in the detention center. Change of pace, yes, but not always of the pleasant kind.
The worst part of the job is having to go clean up the single cells. A lot of them are, very psychotic.
On medications and stuff, and when they act out, we're the ones that get to go.
Yeah, they throw feces and blood on the wall. We have to go in there and clean it up.
Nevertheless, the 2 inmates do the trustee job voluntarily. They see it as a chance, as a first step to get away from drugs. Drugs is what got them in here.
From the time I was 19 years old up until 2 years ago, I'm 30 right now, I didn't touch anything stronger than aspirin. I was completely sober. I was working on an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico, and I was married, and then my wife at the time said that we lost our baby at 8 months. And so I just got really depressed and decided to start doing heroin.
Manufacturing delivery of methamphetamines and GHB. So I was selling it to make a living. I mean, I was doing it and I was selling it to support my habit and live that lifestyle, so it's not worth it.
Cleaning in the isolation cell tract, often running the gauntlet. Any second, something can come flying through the feeder port.
These guys back here, I mean, we'll clean up some messes. There's this one inmate that would write with blood on the wall and then with feces on the wall, like fuck the police or SOS, it's bad stuff. Or they'll try to like throw, you know, feces or urine on you. So like a lot of times you have to be aware of all the cells around you and make sure that, you know, the door doesn't open and somebody's not there and they're gonna throw something on you.
The trustees often get targeted. Actually, the other prisoners should at least be glad to meet the trustees at mealtime. But even the food causes trouble, because for most, it's not enough.
Oh, chop. Chop time.
I've already dropped them off at 6 West. I'll meet you at 5 West.
There you go, man. Yeah.
Sometimes they want extra food. Not sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah.
So if trustee won't give, we say don't give. Trustee has no right to give extra. So when he doesn't give, they think that that's him not giving and try to throw the tray on them.
Yeah.
Try to throw piss on them.
Piss or feces
That's
or
anything
yeah.
like it.
3 meals per day through the feeder port. The cell door definitely remains closed.
You want special trays, Willis? Yeah. All right. Cool. I mean, a lot of people in here keep it real nasty. You know, they don't really clean as often. They don't care. I mean, this is the last stop of the jail for all the worst of the worst.
Dallas County Jail. Riots and raids around the clock. Reservoir for criminals and murderers.
They say I shot someone through a door, killed him on the other side.
Tamarick, a murderer, is being sentenced today. Quickly, very quickly.
I'm asking you if 25 was ever recommended.
No.
How long will he have to stay behind bars? We will find out soon enough. Dallas County Jail, one of the toughest jails in the world. The Special Response Team is positioned for another raid in the North Tower. The suspicion, a cell phone is in there.
Yeah, we have a lot of guys, they still, you know, do dope, you know, they run the dope houses from inside the jails, you know, a lot of kingpins, so it is an important item inside the jail. This right here is a very rowdy tank. We're definitely gonna have to get control of this tank.
The SRT is in position. The cell doors can be opened only from the secured surveillance room. That takes time. The situation escalates. The prisoners are going after each other. The prisoners know, once SRT rushes into the cell, showtime is over. They don't stand a chance against pepperball guns and the special unit. The team leads the prisoners away. search for the phone starts. It has to be somewhere.
One of the guys that's in the tank, his girlfriend's mother is the one that called and said that he's harassing, her. She the one that tipped us off that it was a cell phone in here.
The officers take everything apart, go through everything. Mattresses, clothes, blankets. But other than an unfinished plastic stabbing weapon, they find nothing. No trace of the phone. In the game, Inmates against SRT, there is a clear winner today.
It's a hit and miss. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but we win more than we lose. But we'll find it, we'll eventually find it.
Sergeant Whittemon's suspicion, the phone was passed into another cell block. The officers will search every inch of the Dallas County Jail until they find it, no matter where it is. Outside, it's night. Inside in the isolation cells, time of day doesn't matter. Estevan hasn't seen the sun or the moon for a long time now. He's convinced of his innocence.
They say I shot someone through a door, killed him on the other side. The person on the other side of the door was shaking the door trying to get in at 3 a.m. in the morning. But there's 5 people in the room. Everybody took off running. They only got me. They got a video of the person that did this running out the room, but they can't find him. They don't know nothing about him. So since they got me, they just, the guy with the tattoos on his face, he did it.
He has served 10 years for a drug offense. Now, it could be a life sentence. Court date at Dallas County Jail. More than 200 inmates have their day in court today. Tamarick has been in custody for 2 years, waiting for this moment.
Step on out, put your hands behind your back. Let me see your wrist, man, before you step up. All right, hands behind your back, I'm gonna take you to court.
An underground tunnel leads into the court building. Escape out of the question. And like everything else in Dallas County Jail, the inmates have hours of waiting ahead of them.
Okay.
I came here young, I ain't have no patience now. I got patience now. I know how to just chill. Think to myself, getting my own zone. I'm a little nervous though.
Judge Holmes is about to sentence the 19-year-old. Tamarick's only chance to avoid a lifelong prison sentence, a plea bargaining with the state. Should the deal fall through, the only other option is trial by jury, and they generally show no sympathy for a gang member. Tamarick cannot afford a lawyer, and therefore he has a public defender.
Mr. Jackson, you're before the court for an admonishment. It's my understanding that the state's first plea bargain offer was 25 years. In other words, in exchange for a plea of guilty from you, the state would recommend to the court that you be sentenced to a term of 25 years in the penitentiary. Was that your understanding?
No, ma'am.
All right. Was that plea recommendation offered to you at any point since you've been incarcerated?
It was recommended to me 20.
I'm asking you if 25 was ever recommended.
No.
All right, Mr. Broccoli?
That was the state's first offer.
The state's first offer was 25. And then you said what?
No.
All right, you wanted 20, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Mr. Broccoli has communicated to you that the state has reduced their offer and they've agreed to recommend to the court that you be sentenced to 20 years. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you said that you wanted 17, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Is the state going to offer 17?
No, Your Honor.
Is the state offering 17 today?
No.
Is the state going to offer 17 at any time, ever?
No.
Okay. So that means that you can accept the 20 years or we can set this case for trial.
I'm willing to accept the 20 today.
All right, very well. I find you guilty. Punishment is assessed at 20 years in the penitentiary. It is therefore the order, judgment, and decree of this court that you be taken by the Sheriff of Dallas County and by her safely held for transport to an authorized receiving agency of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, wherein you shall be confined for a period of 20 years or until this sentence is otherwise discharged according to law. Good luck to you.
Real time. A 2-minute hearing, a 20-year sentence. That too is Dallas County Jail.
Ready to go and get it over with. I don't know what I gotta do, We're going through court, you never know what's gonna happen, you know what I'm saying? Now I know I got 7 more to do. Just gonna put in my mind, I got 7 more to do till I can get to the house. Then for my type of case, 20, you know, it sound bad, but it's good though, for my type of case. Best thing going right now, I'm alright. Ready to go back to the tank, get on the phone.
Who would call first?
I don't even know. I don't know. Call everybody. Today visitation day. Somebody gonna come up here and see me.
The hope for salvation comes true for only a very few. In the South Tower, Officer Nichols' shift is ending.
Scout guys, rack up.
Alone as a woman with 64 hardened criminals. Every day without a serious incident is a good day for Officer Nichols.
What was a good day? No fights, nobody injured. I didn't have to send anybody to the nurse for injuries out in the rec area. It was actually, today has been a very good day. They've been quiet, they've been behaved.
Mama, this is for real. I ain't out waving the same mother love. Go to sleep, ease the pain, had to follow me like rain.
Singing against the monotony, against the time that passes you by unused in jail. The two trustees are going to be released soon. They want to fundamentally change their lives. It's probably their last chance. The judge has made that perfectly clear.
If you mess this up, you're coming back to jail. We'll get you. We'll catch you eventually. We'll find you. You can't run forever. And when you do, we're starting off at 15 years TDC. I'm 43 years old. There's no way I want to go to spend another 10 years in prison and get out to try to start over at 53. No, there's no way.
I'm gonna be here for probably another week or two, and then I'm catching chain to TDC's Safe Pete. It's a 6-month kind of in prison rehab, and you're in prison the whole time for 6 months, and 6 to 7 months they say, and then I'm gonna be released, you know, on probation, a very intense probation.
If Tamarick does well in prison, he can get out after 10 years on probation for good behavior. He didn't commit the crime, he says, but he knows what went wrong.
A Mexican got killed, you know, he got shot 2 times in the face, 9 times an hour, you know. They wanted to say that I was the trigger man, but really, you know, I was just there. Stay at the streets, drugs and money. It fucked up my life.
So what did you pull the trigger?
Nah, I ain't pulling no trigger.
Serious crimes, lost years, wasted years, ruined lives. Life in one of the toughest detention centers in the world, Dallas County Jail.